Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla if you are new, and in this video today we're going to be talking about some frequently asked questions about the DCP and everything. I get a lot of questions from family members as well as even friends about the DCP, and if you're anybody that's interested in it, go ahead and continue watching. So today I have a list of questions that I came up with that I typically get asked a lot. I wrote them down in this planner that you guys will see in another video. Before we get started with the questions, I wanted to briefly look over some terms that I'll probably be using in this video and people that you talk to might use, and you might not know what they are, so I'm just going to explain what they are for you so that way you know what I'm talking about. DCP stands for the Disney College Program. I'll probably just refer to it as DCP, just considering Disney College Program is a kind of a lot to say, so in short it's just going to be DCP, and a lot of people usually say that. Another thing that people usually say a lot to go along with that is just CP. So the DCP is Disney College Program. A CP is a college programmer. So like somebody that's doing the DCP is a CP, so I'm a CP, so I'm a college programmer. The next one is WBI, which is web-based interview. It's pretty much what it sounds like. A role. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Disney terminology, this is one that's not specific to the people that are doing the DCP that come up with these names and letters and stuff to represent things, but this is a Disney term. So the term role is essentially job position. It's the same. If you didn't know, Disney likes to think of the whole park and the experience as a production. That's why you have cast members and not employees. That's why you have roles instead of positions. Itinerary. Now you might be thinking, oh, itinerary, I know what that means. But when it comes to Disney, the itinerary is the document that Disney sends you about a week before you move in, which tells you what complex you're living in, what your job location is, when your casting is, and when your traditions is, and basically all the information you need to know for the first week. Last term that I want to mention is a wave. A wave is essentially a big group of acceptances going out, or a little puddle is a couple acceptances going out. So it's essentially just their term of saying, oh, there's going to be a bunch of acceptances going out, so be on the lookout for an email. Now that we have those terms down, we're going to just get started with the question. The most basic question that is out there is, what is the DCP or Disney College Program? The DCP is a semester-long paid internship at the Walt Disney World Resort. Basically, if you get accepted into the DCP, you're working as a cast member in the resorts, the parks, and Disney Springs, like I said. How much do you get paid? I get this question a lot because some people are wondering, is it going to be minimum wage? Do you get more than minimum wage? And things like that. So as of right now, I don't think they increased it, but in my offer letter it said that I would get paid $10 an hour, and that is pretty typical for most CPs. Some will get more depending upon their roles. What about housing? A lot of my family members and people like to ask about is like housing. Where are you going to live? Like how's that situation going to work? You can choose to live on like Disney property or like the Disney apartments that they have, or you can find your own apartment and live off of Disney housing. So Disney housing, which is what most people usually do, there are 4 complexes. There is the Commons, Chatham Square, Patterson Court, and Vista Way. Now, within those 4 apartment complexes, there's different apartment setups and layouts and stuff, and so when you go to register for your housing, you don't get to specifically choose which apartment that you're going to live in. You put in your preferences for every single apartment complex and all of the configurations that they have, because it'll be like 2-bedroom 6-person or 2-bedroom 4-person and things like that. Obviously, the more people you have, the cheaper it is, and blah blah blah. Rent comes out of your paycheck every week. It can range from $111 all the way to $200, which is kind of very pricey, considering that you don't specifically get to choose where you're going to live since you only rank preferences. What about food? You pay for it yourself. You have to go to the grocery store. You have to make your own food. There isn't a cafeteria or meal plan or anything like that. you're on your own type of thing. One of the reasons why Disney does this is so it can give CPs a chance to understand what it's like to live in the real world. With you have a full-time job, you have to pay rent, you have to get your own food and do laundry and everything like that. Roommates. You find the Facebook page, which is just Disney College Program, Fall or Spring Advantage, and then the year. The Fall Advantage people, I'm pretty sure we're able to link up with 3 other people. It was somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure they were able to link up with 3 other people. However, when it came to the fall program people starting to move in, they changed it so you're only able to link up with 1 other person. When you say link up with another person, that just means you put in their roommate number and Disney tries their best to essentially put both of you in the same apartment. When do you find out where you're living and working? So like I said before, when I was talking about itinerary, that is typically known as itinerary day, which is the week before you move in. So it's the Monday before. Itinerary day is essentially when Disney will send out itineraries, and the itineraries will include where you're working and where you're living. It'll say something like, oh, you're in DS Zone 3 or something like that. So that's Disney Springs Zone 3, which is a specific zone in Disney Springs. The application process. So the application process, it has 3 steps. The first step is the application itself, which is just essentially a job interview application. It's not very hard. It's just basic information and then your resume, and then it goes into your role preferences. And so when it comes to the role preferences, you can rank things no interest, low interest, moderate interest, or high interest. No interest means if I get accepted and you try to give me this job, I will decline the offer. Low interest, moderate, and high basically to Disney means all the same thing. If you put something in low interest, you would think like, oh, that means like, yeah, like it's not my favorite thing, but I'll do it if I have to type of thing. And to Disney, that still means interest. They will try to do high and moderate, but sometimes they're going to have to go to low interest. So just keep that in mind. If, like, let's say you absolutely don't want to do quick service, then put no interest. Don't put low interest or something like that, because there is still a chance that you can get it. And it is okay to put no interest in several roles. I did half no interest and then half had some type of interest. After the application, you submit that. The next part is where it gets tricky. So after you submit that, you'll typically get a thank you email. It might take a little bit. Mine took about 25 minutes or so. And then within 30 minutes after submitting it, I got an email saying I moved on to the web-based interview. Some people end up waiting days, some people end up waiting weeks to hear back for their WBI. Once you get an email for the web-based interview, I believe you have, I don't remember, I think you have like a week to complete it. And essentially what you do is once you start it, you have to finish it type of thing. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to do. It's broken up into like sections. Obviously between each section you can take like a little breather, and that's what I did. So it did take me a little bit longer to finish it, but it's essentially just like a personality test. So that way Disney can get a feel for what type of person you are, so that way they can see if you're fit for the company. After the WBI, immediately after, it'll tell you if you passed and you moved on to a phone interview, which obviously I did. So right after that, you can schedule your phone interview. So then I scheduled mine for literally as far out as I could, just that way it would give me plenty of time to practice. And then after you do your phone interview, which is basically how it sounds, they call you up anywhere from 15 minutes before your interview time to 15 minutes after. Mine called about 10 minutes before, and it lasted pretty much, I forget if it was 20, it was either 15 or 20 minutes long. And that's typically how long they'll take. Some take longer, some take shorter. It really just depends. And then after that, you basically just sit around and wait for them to email you back if you got accepted or not. So usually those will come in waves. The recruiters will tweet out saying like, oh, there's going to be a wave today, and then there'll be a bunch of people that get accepted that day. Do you get into the parks for free / can you bring guests into the parks for free? Yes and no. So yes, I can get into the parks for free. However, there are blackout dates. Just like if you had an annual pass within the state of Florida, like you're a Florida resident and you got those specific passes, there are blackout dates for cast members. So with Galaxy's Edge opening up, as far out as October, I will not be able to go into Hollywood Studios. However, I do still have an annual pass, so I still will be able to go. As far as guests go, they have the same exact blackout dates as me. However, I only have a limited amount of basically 1-day park hopper tickets. So, and those, some of them are based on achievements, like if you did like traditions and just showing up basically, and then some of them are based upon how many hours you work. A lot of people always like, oh, you can get me into free, right? And the answer is no. Like, typically people don't just give people their free passes because they obviously had to work for those and they want to have like their friends come and visit them or their family members, so they like save them up for that. Do we get cast member discounts? And yes, we do. Since we are technically cast members for the time being, we get all the same exact benefits as cast members as far as discounts go. That's not obviously the same for like all benefits, but for discounts, we get all the same cast member discounts, which is typically 20% merchandise, except for, I can't remember exactly what month it starts. I think it's September. It's either September or October to like January time frame. I am probably completely wrong, but basically during the Christmas season, I can get up to 40% off certain merchandise, and based on certain locations too, that can increase or decrease. So that is all the frequently asked questions I usually get. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, like, comment. If you have any other questions, please comment them down below and I'll try my best to answer them. I really tried to answer the basic ones. I know there's probably still a ton of questions people have, but I wanted to give a general basis of everything so that way it's more cleared up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.